is sleep, and I hope that I can help you achieve that. Just a couple of gentle reminders before I start reading my boring book. Do you have any water next to you? Did you take all of your medicine that you're supposed to be taking? Do you have autoplay turned off? Yeah, okay, good. So I've got our big boring book here. It's Caring for Our Children, National Health and Safety Performance Standards, Guidelines for Early Childhood Care Education Programs. This is the 3rd edition, so it is not the most recent. The most recent is, I believe, the 4th. 4th edition, so this is the 3rd. I am going to open her up, and we're just going to start reading from the page that I'm on. So, I am on page, actually, let me flip back. Okay, I think we can start here. So, I'm going to start with page 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we will see how far we get tonight. Section 1.2, Recruitment and Background Screening. Standard 1.2.0.1, Staff Recruitment. Staff recruitment should be based on a policy of non-discrimination with regard to gender, race, ethnicity, disability, or religion, as required by the Equal Employment Opportunity Act. Centers should have a plan of action for recruiting and hiring a diverse staff that is representative of the children in the facility's care and people in the community with whom the child is likely to have contact as a part of life experience. Staff recruitment policies should adhere to requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, as it applies to employment. The job description for each position should be clearly written, and the sustainability of an applicant should be measured with regard to the applicant's qualifications and abilities to perform the tasks required in the role. Rationale. Child care businesses must adhere to federal law. In addition, child care businesses should model diversity and non-discrimination in their employment practices to enhance the quality of the program by supporting diversity and tolerance for individuals on the staff who are competent caregivers, teachers with different backgrounds and orientation in their private lives. Children need to see successful role models from their own ethnic and cultural groups and be able to develop the ability to relate to people who are different from themselves. The goal of the ADA in employment is to reasonably accommodate applicants and employees with disabilities, to provide them equal employment opportunity, and to integrate them into the program staff to the extent feasible given the individual's limitations. Under the ADA, employers are expected to make reasonable accommodations for persons with disabilities. Some disabilities may be accommodated, whereas others may not allow the person to do essential tasks. The fairest way to address this evaluation is to define the tasks and measure the abilities of applicants In staff recruiting, the hiring pool should extend beyond the immediate neighborhood of the child's residence or location of the facility to reflect the diversity of the people with whom the child can be expected to have contact as a part of life experience. Reasons to deny employment include the following. The applicant or employee is not qualified or is unable to perform the essential functions of the job with or without reasonable accommodations. Accommodation is unreasonable or will result in undue hardship to the program. The applicant's or employee's condition will pose a significant threat to the health or safety of that individual or of other staff members or children. Accommodations and undue hardship are based on each individual situation. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission does not enforce the protections that prohibit discrimination and harassment based on sexual orientation, status as a parent, marital status, or political affiliation. However, other federal agencies and many states and municipal properties do. For assistance in locating your state or local agency's rules, go to our website. Caregivers or teachers can obtain copies of the EEOA and the ADA from their local public library. Type of facility: center, large family child care home, small family child care home. Okay, standard 1.2.3. Qualifications for assistant teachers, teacher aides, and volunteers. Assistant teachers and teacher aides should be at least 18 years of age, have a high school diploma or GED, and participate in on-the-job training, including a structured orientation to the developmental needs of young children and access to consultation with periodic review by a supervisory staff member. At least 50% of all assistant teachers and teacher aides must have or be working on either a Child Development Associate, otherwise known as a CDA, credential or equivalent, or an associate's or higher degree in early childhood education, child development, or equivalent. Volunteers should be at least 16 years of age and should participate in on-the-job training, including a structured orientation to the developmental needs of young children. Assistant teachers, teacher aides, and volunteers should work only under the continual supervision of lead teacher or teacher. Assistant teachers, teacher aides, and volunteers should never be left alone with children. Volunteers should not be continued in the child-staff ratio. All assistant teachers, teacher aides, and volunteers should possess the ability to carry out assigned tasks competently under the supervision of another staff member, an understanding of and the ability to respond appropriately to children's needs, sound judgment, emotional maturity, and clearly discernible affection for and commitment to the well-being of children. The rationale: while volunteers and students can be as young as 16, age 18 is the earliest age of legal consent. Mature leadership is clearly preferable. Age 21 allows for the maturity necessary to meet the responsibilities of managing a center or independently caring for a group of children who are not one's own. Childcare that promotes healthy development is based on the developmental needs of infants, toddlers, preschool, and school-age children. Caregivers and teachers should be chosen for their knowledge of and ability to respond appropriately to the general needs of children of this age and the unique characteristics of individual children. Staff training in child development and or early childhood education is related to positive outcomes for children. This training enables the staff to provide children with a variety of learning and social experiences appropriate to the age of the child. Everyone providing service to or interacting with children in a center contributes to the child's total experience. Adequate compensation for skilled workers will not be given priority until the skills required are recognized and valued. Teaching and caregiving require skills to promote development and learning by children whose needs and abilities change at a rapid rate. Standard 1.3.2.5 Additional qualifications for caregivers, teachers serving children 3 to 5 years of age. Caregivers and teachers should demonstrate the ability to apply their knowledge and understanding of the following to children 3 to 5 years of age within the program setting. Typical and atypical development of 3 to 5-year-old children. Social and emotional development of children, including children's development of independence, their ability to adapt to their environment and cope with stress, problem solve and engage in conflict resolution, and successfully establish friendships. Cognitive, language, early literacy, scientific inquiry, and mathematics development of children. Cultural backgrounds of the children in the facility's care. Talking to parents and guardians about observations and concerns and referrals to parents and guardians. Changing needs of populations served. To help manage atypical or undesirable behaviors of children 3 to 5 years of age. Caregivers and teachers serving this age group should seek professional consultation and collaboration with parents and guardians from the child's primary care provider, a mental health professional, a child care health consultant, or an early childhood mental health consultant. The rationale: 3 and 4-year-old children continue to depend on the affection, physical care, intellectual guidance, and emotional support of their caregivers and teachers. A supportive, nurturing setting that supports a demonstration of feelings and accepts regression as part of development continues to be vital for preschool children. Preschool children need help building a positive self-image, a sense of self as a person of value from a family and a culture of which they are proud. Children should be enabled to view themselves as coping, problem-solving, competent, passionate, expressive, and socially connected to peers and staff. Standard 1.3.2.6 Additional qualifications for caregivers and teachers serving school-age children. Caregivers and teachers should demonstrate knowledge about and competence with the social and emotional needs and developmental tasks of 5 to 12-year-old children, be able to recognize and appropriately manage difficult behaviors, and know how to implement a socially and cognitively enriching program that has been developed with input from parents and guardians. Issues that are significant within school-age programs include having a sense of community, bullying, sexuality, electronic media, and social networking. Standard 1.3.3.2 Support networks for family child care. Large and small family child care home caregivers and teachers should have active membership in a national and or state and local early care and education organization. National organizations addressing concerns of family child care home caregivers and teachers include the American Academy of Pediatrics, the National Association for Family Child Care, and the National Association for the Education of Young Children. In addition, belonging to a local network of family child care home caregivers and teachers that offers education, training, and networking opportunities provides the opportunity to focus on local needs. Child care resource and referral agencies may provide additional support networks for caregivers and teachers that include professional development opportunities and information about electronic networking. The rationale: membership in peer professional organizations shows a commitment to quality child care and also provides a conduit for information to otherwise isolated caregivers and teachers. Membership in a family child care association and attendance at meetings indicate the desire to gain new knowledge about how to work with children. Standard 1.4.3.2 Topics covered in first aid training. First aid training should present an overview of emergency medical services, accessing EMS, position center services, accessing the position center, safety at the scene, and isolation of bloody substances. First aid instruction should include, but not be limited to, recognition and first response of pediatric emergency management in a child care setting of the following situations: management of a blocked airway and rescue breathing for infants and children with return demonstration by the learner, pediatric CPR, abrasions and lacerations, bleeding including nosebleeds, burns, fainting, poisoning including swallowed, skin or eye contact and inhaled, puncture wounds including splinters, injuries including insect, animal, and human bites, poison control, shock, seizure care, musculoskeletal injury such as sprains, fractures, dental and mouth injuries and trauma, head injuries including shaken baby syndrome and abusive head trauma, allergic reactions including information about when epinephrine might be required, asthmatic reactions including rescue inhalers must be used. Eye injuries, loss of consciousness, electric shock, drowning, heat-related injuries including heat exhaustion, heat stroke, cold-related injuries including frostbite, moving and positioning injured and ill persons, illness-related emergencies such as stiff neck, inexplicable confusion, sudden onset of blood red or purple rash, severe pain, temperature above 101 degrees Fahrenheit or 38.3 degrees Celsius, orally above 102 degrees Fahrenheit or 38.9 degrees Celsius, rectally, or 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 37.8 degrees Celsius or higher, taken axillary in your armpit, or measured by an equivalent method and acting severely ill. Standard precautions. Organizing and implementing a plan to meet an emergency for any child with a special health care need. Addressing the needs of the other children in the group while managing emergencies in a child care setting. Applying first aid to children with special health care needs. Rationale. First aid for children in the child care setting requires a more child-specific approach than standard adult-oriented first aid offers to ensure the health and safety of children in a child care setting. Someone who is qualified to respond to common injuries and life-threatening emergencies must be in attendance at all times. A staff trained in pediatric first aid, including pediatric CPR, coupled with a facility that has been designed or modified to ensure the safety of children, can reduce the potential for death and disability. Knowledge of pediatric first aid, including the ability to demonstrate pediatric CPR skills and the confidence to use these skills, are critically important to the outcome of an emergency situation. Small family and child care home caregivers and teachers often work alone and are solely responsible for the health and safety of children in care. Such caregivers and teachers must have pediatric first aid competence. Standard 1.4.5.4 Education of center staff. Centers should educate staff to support the cultural, language, and ethnic backgrounds of children enrolled in the program. In addition, all staff members should participate in diversity training that will ensure respectful service delivery to all families and a staff that works well together. Rationale. Young children's identities cannot be separated from family, culture, and their home language. Children need both to see successful role models from their own ethnic and cultural groups, and to develop the ability to relate to people who are different from themselves. 1.4.6 Educational leave and compensation. Standard 1.4.6.1 Training time and professional development leave. A center, large family child care home, or a support agency for a network of small family child care homes should make provisions for paid training time for staff to participate in required professional development that includes training as well as education during work hours, or reimburse staff for time spent attending professional development outside of regular work hours. Any hours worked in excess of 40 hours in a week must be paid according to state and federal wage and hour regulations. Most caregivers and teachers work long hours, and most are poorly paid. Using personal time for education required as a condition of employment is an unfair expectation until compensation for work done in child care is much more equitable. Many child care workers also employed in another vocation work at other jobs to make a living wage and would miss income from their other jobs or risk losing that employment. Additionally, the caregiver/teacher may incur stress in their family life when required to take time outside of childcare hours to participate in work-related training. Professional development in childcare often takes place when the participant is not released from other work-related duties, such as caring for children or answering phones. Providing substitutes and released time during work hours for such training is likely to enhance the effectiveness of training and improve employee satisfaction and retention. Consultants. Standard 1.6.0.1 Child Care Health Consultants. A facility should identify and engage/partner with a child care health consultant who is a licensed health professional with education and experience in child and community health and child care, and preferably specialized training in child care health consultation. CCHCSs have knowledge of resources and regulations and are comfortable linking health resources with child care facilities. The child care health consultant should be knowledgeable in the following areas: consultation skills, both as a child care health consultant as well as a member of an interdisciplinary team of consultants. National health and safety standards for out-of-home child care. Indicators of quality early care and education. Day-to-day operations of child care facilities. State child care licensing and public health requirements. State health laws. Infancy and early childhood development, social and emotional health, and developmentally appropriate practice. Recognition and reporting requirements for infectious diseases. American Academy of Pediatrics and early and periodic screening, diagnosis, and treatment. Screening recommendations and immunization schedules for children. Importance of medical, home, and local and state resources to facilitate access to a medical home, as well as child health insurance programs, including Medicaid and state children's health insurance program. Injury prevention for children. Oral health for children. Nutrition discretion and age-appropriate physical activity recommendations for children, including feeding of infants and children, the importance of breastfeeding, and the prevention of obesity. Inclusion of children with special health care needs and developmental disabilities in child care. Safe medication administration practices. Health education of children. Recognition and reporting requirements for child abuse and neglect and child maltreatment. Safe sleep practices and policies, including reducing the risk of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. Standard 1.6.0.3 Early Childhood Mental Health Consultants. A facility should engage a qualified early childhood mental health consultant who will assist the program with a range of early childhood social, emotional, and behavioral issues, and who will visit the program at minimum quarterly and more often as needed. The knowledge base of an early childhood mental health consultant should include training, expertise, and or professional credentials in mental health, early childhood development of infants, toddlers, and preschool-age children, early care and education settings and practices, consultation skills and approaches to working as a team with early childhood consults from other disciplines, especially health and education consultants, to effectively support directors and caregivers and teachers. The role of the early childhood mental health consultant should be focused on building staff capacity and be both proactive and decreasing the incidence of challenging classroom behaviors and reactive in formulating appropriate responses to challenging classroom behaviors, and should include developing and implementing classroom curricula regarding conflict resolution, emotional regulation, and social skills development. Developing and implementing appropriate screening and referral mechanisms for behavioral and mental health needs. Forming relationships with mental health providers and special education systems in the community. Providing mental health services, resources, and or referral systems for families and staff. Helping staff facilitate and maintain mentally healthy environments within the classroom and overall system. Helping address mental health needs and reduce job stress within the staff. Improving management of children with challenging behaviors. Preventing the development of problem behaviors. Providing a classroom climate that promotes positive social emotional development. Recognizing and appropriately responding to the needs of children with internalizing behaviors such as persistent sadness, anxiety, and social withdrawal. Actively teaching developmentally appropriate social skills, conflict resolution, and emotional regulation. Addressing the mental health needs and daily stresses of those who care for young children, such as families and caregivers/teachers. Helping the staff to address and handle unforeseen crises or bereavements that may threaten the mental health of staff or children and families. families, such as the death of a caregiver or teacher, or the serious illness of a child. The rationale: as increasing numbers of children are spending longer hours in child care settings, there is an increasing need to build the capacity of caregivers and teachers to attend to the social, emotional, and behavioral well-being of children, as well as their health and learning needs. Early childhood mental health underlies much of what constitutes school readiness, including emotional and behavioral regulation, social skills like taking turns, postponing gratification, the ability to inhibit aggressive or antisocial impulses, and the skills to verbally express emotions such as frustration, anger, anxiety, and sadness. Supporting children's health, mental health, and learning requires a comprehensive approach. Child care programs need to have health, education, and mental health consultants who can help them implement universal, selected, and targeted strategies to improve school readiness in young children and their care. Mental health consultants, in collaboration with education and child care health consultants, can reduce the risk for children being expelled, can reduce levels of problem behaviors, increase social skills, and build staff efficacy and capacity. Access to an early childhood mental health consultant should be in the context of an ongoing relationship with at least quarterly regular visits to the classroom to consult. However, even an on-call only relationship is better than no relationship at all. Regardless of the frequency of contact, this relationship should be established before a crisis arises so that the consultant can establish a useful, proactive working relationship with the staff and be quickly mobilized when needs arise. This consultant should be viewed as an important part of the program support staff and should collaborate with all regular classroom staff, administration, and other consultants such as child care, health consultants, and education consultants, and support staff. In most cases, there is no single place in which to look for early childhood mental health consultants. Qualified potential consultants may be identified by contacting mental health and behavioral providers like child, clinical, and school psychologists, licensed clinical social workers, child psychiatrists, developmental pediatricians, etc., as well as training programs at local challenges and universities where these professionals are being trained. Colleges and universities may be a good place to find well-supervised consultants and training at a potentially reasonable cost, although consultant turnover may be higher. Okay, I think that is a great stopping point for tonight. I hope you are feeling relaxed, slowed down, your body is feeling heavy, and you are ready to get some solid sleep.